So, drum beats. Again, yes, I know. It's been a few lessons, but by the time you're done, we're going to know how to solo. We're going to know how to do punk. We're going to know how to do blues, rock, all the styles. So you'll be the hip kid on the block, and the girls will be tingly with delight at your skills. So anyways, today what we're going to do is we're going to take a typical blues progression, and I'm going to show you some variants on the same theme, so you don't sound like the same 12-bar blues band that has been done 12 trillion times. So what we're going to do is we're going to spice it up. All right, we're tuned to standard pitch, using GarageBand again, but you can always Google or whatever you use for a search engine, free blues drum tracks or whatever, and you'll get a ton of stuff. Or, you know, there's a lot of programs out there with drum loops. So, the point is, we're going to practice to a beat. It's very basic. Here we go. All right, so let's do a typical blues 12-bar or whatever progression that you're, normally associated with. Right? Today we're going to use GarageBand's, it's called Big Hair Drum Set, and it's number 1. So, the beat's going to sound like this. I'm sure you can find a beat like this on a bunch of different drum loop programs. Typical, right? So let's do what we would normally associate a typical blues progression. Ready? Here we go. Right? So that would be just... Right? So that's... So what you're doing is you're doing an E chord, and on the A string, you're going to hit the 4th fret and the 5th fret and walk back down. Now, it's not the total... or... right, that you might be normally used to hearing. It's a little bit of varied of a theme because of the beat behind us. So we got the beat again is this. So what I'm trying to do is play off the kick and snare again, right? So we got right, so it's right now I'm doing those upstrokes. So what you're doing is you're doing an E chord, and you're just barring the 2nd fret of the E and the D string, and then with your 3rd finger and your pinky, or these 2 fingers if you have big hands, we're going to get the 4th fret and the 5th fret of the A string while we're playing this lower E string, like in a normal blues progression. So it's... again. Now you can do that with all downstrokes. I just like the sound sometimes of upstrokes because you're getting that D string first and then the A string on your hit. So it's a little bit different of a sound, but it's whatever's comfortable for you. Practice both. So then, you just do your typical... Now you can use a B chord, but we're going to use a different version of a B chord today. What we're going to do is the 2nd fret A string, 1st fret D string, 2nd fret G string, and then we're going to let the B string ring open. Right? You can also add the pinky onto the 2nd fret high E string. You can get that in there, right? So let's think of some different things that we can do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate some chromatic notes and kind of mess with the pattern a little bit to take a typical blues progression and kind of spice it up a little bit. So let's get the pattern going. One thing we can do, very simple, same thing we've been doing. Right? So we're going to go. So it's 4th, 5th, 4th, right? And then you go back to this E, and then you're going to hit the E again. So down, up, and then you're going to go 3rd fret, G note of the 6th string, and hammer on to the 4th. And go back to the E. So the pattern goes like this. Right, and then starts over. And then we're going to go to the A and do the same thing. Right, so we can do that. So with a beat. So that's just one variation on a theme. Now what we can also do is instead of just going, we can add different notes all together. So we can do like, right? So what we're doing there is we're taking the same basic premise and we're just expanding upon it a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with that E chord again. And instead of going, 4 or 5, I'm going to go all the way up to 7 on the A. And I'm going to go to 6 on the D string. And then I'm going to keep that same pattern and go down a whole step. So I'm at 5 and 4. And then I'm going to go down 1 fret, but now the stretch is going to be different. So I'm going to go to 2 and 4 on the A and D. And then I'm going to do that same riff that we did at the end, right? So let's hear what that sounds like all together. That's what it sounds like when you play it over a beat. Now all I'm doing is going. All you're doing there is you're hitting an E chord, and then between each of the shifts, I'm doing a mute on the low E. And then that hammer-on riff, right? Exact same riff on the A. Right? So once you get that pattern down, we can add in more of those kind of riffs in there too. So let's mess around with that. Same kind of thing. So instead of just going and letting it rest on that E, I'm just going to add another one of those. So I'm doing it twice. So I'm going. So it's. Now you can hit the chord right there, but I go down and I hit the E note on the D string, so it's rather than hitting the whole chord together. Right? You can do the same thing. Now instead of going, you can go and pull off on the G note right there, so it's. Back to that B chord. And then I'm going to go up a half step to the C, back down. And that is a hammer-on and a pull-off on the A string first fret, open. Right, so we got. So on that one I went hammer on to the G note, A string, back to G, and start over. And then you can't do the whole progression over again. Now it's half, so it goes. So now it goes. So that's that same sequence we did from 3 to 4. Back to G, and then right into that B for the turnaround, right? So let's do that. So that's another thing you can do. Now, you can also start to throw in little bits of the pentatonic scale. Now that's kind of a majory sounding chord, but the minor E minor pentatonic will work over that too. So we can start to throw in those kind of notes as well. So let's hear what that might sound like. Right, so you get the idea. We're just doing stuff on the fly, so it's not going to be, you know, perfection or whatever. But you get the idea. Mess around with those blues progressions and don't just stick into that. Right, the typical 12-bar blues or whatever it is. Mess around with it, you know. Don't be afraid to experiment and go outside a little bit, you know, instead of just hitting that beat. Don't be afraid to go up a half step and back down. Or don't be afraid to, in the turnarounds, incorporate, you know, a turnaround like that rather than just going. You can go. Right? Throw some bends and some hammer-ons. Right there, I'm just bending up to that 4th fret we were hammering onto, so it's a half step. You know, throw some. So let's see. Or you're just hitting the open B and E strings at the bottom. So there's tons of variations. So play around with that and incorporate it into your blues, 12-bar blues, bar band ripping. And again, like we were doing in some of the other lessons, get that beat going and practice your blues licks to it. Whatever, but practice that stuff to beats. Get you in that pocket and it gets you real playing experience without having to have a band. So when you actually do get a band, stuff's ready to go. All right? As always, check Marty's songs, guitarjams.com, all that stuff. He's got free lessons, you know, access to a huge website of stuff that you can get for a charge, but it's epic. Way cheaper than guitar lessons. So take advantage of all this stuff and have a good one. Practice up. Watch less TV. Practice more. All right. Have a good one.